Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen and enjoy my stories every day. The rain taps a steady rhythm against my office window, an ironic accompaniment to the disquiet that's been gnawing at me for weeks. I glance at the clock, 9:30 p.m. The office is deserted, save for the flickering fluorescent lights and the hum of the central air conditioning. I should be at home, but the thought of confronting yet another sleepless night beside Lisa keeps me rooted to my desk. My mind drifts back to the moment it all started. A misplaced lipstick tube, a subtle change in her perfume, and the guarded glances she began casting my way. These small signs planted the first seeds of doubt. I reach for my phone and scroll through our text messages, looking for reassurance that never comes. The last message from Lisa reads, "Working late again, don't wait up." The thought is sudden, unbidden: what if she isn't working late? I shake my head, trying to dispel the paranoia, but the unease lingers. That's when I decide to make the call. A call I hoped I'd never have to make. Jake's Investigations, this is Jake. The voice on the other end greets me, smooth and professional. "Jake, this is Mark Thompson. I need your help," I say, my voice wavering slightly. I explain the situation, every detail sharpening the edge of my suspicion. Jake listens patiently, his silence offering a strange comfort. "We'll get to the bottom of this, Mr. Thompson. I'll start surveillance tomorrow," he assures me. His confidence is infectious, and for the first time in weeks, I feel a flicker of hope. The next month is a blur of anxious waiting. Jake sends regular updates, photos of Lisa at her office, timestamps of her activities, detailed reports that paint a picture of an innocent woman going about her day. But doubt is a persistent beast, and despite Jake's reassurances, it refuses to let me go. Then, one Friday afternoon, Jake calls. "Mark, I've completed the surveillance. Your wife isn't cheating on you," he says. Relief floods through me, but it's tinged with a hint of disbelief. "Are you sure?" I ask, needing to hear it again. "Absolutely. She's clean," he confirms, his voice steady. I thank him and hang up, a heavy weight lifting off my chest. For the first time in weeks, I breathe easier, but the doubts, though quieter, still whisper in the back of my mind. 2 weeks later, I'm sorting through the mail when a manila envelope catches my eye. No return address. Inside, I find a series of photographs, grainy, poorly lit, but unmistakable. My heart hammers in my chest as I recognize the figures in the images, Lisa and Jake, locked in an intimate embrace. My world tilts. The investigator I trusted had been deceiving me all along. Anger surges through me, hot and unyielding. I clutch the photos tightly, my knuckles turning white. The betrayal stings, but it also clarifies my resolve. They played me for a fool, and now, they would pay. I spend the next few days in a haze of planning. Every moment of downtime is consumed by thoughts of revenge. I gather evidence meticulously, each new piece a step closer to their downfall. I discover that Jake has a wife, Laura. Reaching out to her feels like twisting a knife, but it's a necessary move. "Mrs. Harper, this is Mark Thompson. I have some information about your husband," I begin, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. Laura listens in stunned silence as I lay out the facts. The hurt in her voice mirrors my own pain. "I can't believe this," she whispers. "We can't change what they did, but we can make sure they face the consequences," I say, feeling a grim satisfaction in our shared determination. In the days that follow, Laura and I collaborate quietly, setting the stage for Jake's professional ruin. I leverage connections, sharing evidence with the right people. Meanwhile, I prepare for the confrontation with Lisa. The night I choose to confront her is eerily calm, the sky clear and starless. She walks in, oblivious to the storm brewing within me. "Hey, Mark," she says, her smile faltering as she sees my expression. "Sit down, Lisa. We need to talk," I say, my voice colder than I intend. The confrontation is brutal. I lay out the evidence, watching as her face shifts from shock to anger to something that looks almost like relief. "I'm sorry, Mark," she says, tears streaming down her face. "I never meant for this to happen." "But it did," I reply, my voice devoid of sympathy. "Pack your things and leave." The door slams shut behind her, and I stand there, letting the silence wash over me. The house feels emptier than ever, but there's a strange comfort in that emptiness. I've taken the first step towards reclaiming my life, and there's a certain peace in knowing that. The next morning, I receive a call from Laura. "It's done," she says simply. "Jake's career is in shambles, the scandal spreading like wildfire. There's no satisfaction in his ruin, only a cold sense of justice served." As I sit in my now empty home, I reflect on the whirlwind of betrayal and revenge. The journey has been painful, but it's also been a stark reminder of the importance of trust and integrity. And as the sun rises, casting a new light on the day, I feel a glimmer of hope for the future. The days after Lisa's departure are a blur. I go through the motions at work, my mind a fractured maze of thoughts and memories. Evenings are the hardest. The quiet of the house, once a sanctuary, now feels oppressive. But amid the chaos, a new resolve takes root. There's no going back, I have to move forward. One evening, as I sit nursing a whiskey, my phone buzzes with a text from Laura. "We need to talk. Can you meet me at the coffee shop on 5th? I agree, curiosity piqued. The next morning, I walk into the cozy cafe, the scent of freshly brewed coffee mingling with the hum of conversation. Laura is already seated at a corner table, her expression a mixture of determination and fatigue. "Mark," she greets me, offering a small, tired smile. "Thanks for coming." I nod, sliding into the chair opposite her. "What's going on?" She takes a deep breath, her eyes searching mine. "There's more to this than we realized. I found something. I think Jake and Lisa were involved in something bigger. They weren't just having an affair." My pulse quickens. "What do you mean?" Laura hands me a folder. Inside are documents, emails, and photographs. Jake's been laundering money through his detective agency. Lisa's been helping him. They've been embezzling from clients, using fake cases to cover their tracks. I scan the documents, anger boiling anew. "How did you find this?" "I've been digging through Jake's files. I had a feeling there was more he wasn't telling me. And I was right." She leans forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. "We need to take this to the authorities, but we have to be careful. Jake has connections, and if he finds out we know." Her words hang in the air, a stark reminder of the stakes. "We need proof," I say. "Something that ties them directly to the laundering." Laura nods. "I have a plan. But I'll need your help." Over the next few days, we work tirelessly, gathering evidence. It feels like living a double life, days at the office, nights spent digging into Jake and Lisa's activities. We enlist the help of a trusted friend of mine, Carl, an IT specialist who owes me a favor. "This is some serious stuff," Carl mutters, eyes glued to his laptop screen. "You sure about this?" I nod. "Absolutely. Can you get us what we need?" Carl grins, his fingers dancing over the keys. "Give me a couple of days." True to his word, Carl delivers. He hacks into Jake's financial records, uncovering a web of transactions that tie him and Lisa to the laundering scheme. Armed with this new evidence, Laura and I make our way to the FBI office, nerves taut as wires. Agent Collins, a stern-looking man in his 50s, listens intently as we lay out our findings. "This is quite the story," he says, leaning back in his chair. "If what you're saying is true, we're looking at a major criminal operation." "It is true," Laura insists. "We have the proof." Collins nods. "We'll need to verify this, but if it checks out, you've done a great service." You'll both need to testify. The gravity of his words settles over us. This is no longer just about personal revenge, it's about justice. As we leave the FBI office, a sense of purpose drives us forward. The next few weeks are a whirlwind. The FBI launches an investigation, and the news breaks, sending shockwaves through the community. Jake is arrested, his detective agency shut down. Lisa is taken in for questioning, her involvement laid bare for all to see. The day of the trial arrives, the courtroom buzzing with tension. Laura and I sit side by side, a united front against the betrayal that brought us together. As we take the stand, recounting our story, there's a sense of closure beginning to take shape. Jake and Lisa are found guilty on multiple counts of fraud and money laundering. The verdict is a victory, but it's bittersweet. The people we once loved are gone, replaced by the criminals they truly were. As we leave the courthouse, Laura turns to me, her eyes reflecting a shared pain. "We did it," she says, her voice tinged with both relief and sorrow. I nod. "We did. But where do we go from here?" Laura smiles, a hint of hope in her expression. "We move forward. One step at a time. Our paths may have crossed through betrayal, but they led us to a new beginning. The journey isn't over, but with each step, we reclaim a piece of ourselves." And as we walk away from the courthouse, the weight of the past begins to lift, replaced by the promise of a future built on truth and resilience. As the days turn into weeks, the echoes of deceit fade, replaced by the steady rhythm of rebuilding. I find solace in my work, diving into projects with renewed vigor. Laura and I keep in touch, our bond forged in the fires of betrayal and revenge transforming into a friendship grounded in shared experience. One evening, as I sit in my living room, the phone rings. It's Carl. "Hey, Mark. Got a minute?" "Sure, what's up?" "I've been thinking about your situation. If you ever need a change, there's an opening in my company. We could use someone with your skills." His offer catches me off guard. A fresh start sounds appealing, but the thought of leaving everything behind is daunting. "I'll think about it, Carl. Thanks." As I hang up, I realize that moving forward means more than just surviving, it means embracing new opportunities. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to consider what lies beyond the horizon. The journey ahead is uncertain, but one thing is clear, the past no longer holds me captive. With each new day, I reclaim my life, step by step, forging a future built on the lessons of trust, integrity, and resilience. And as I look out into the night, the stars seem a little brighter, the world a little more open, filled with possibilities waiting to be explored. The aftermath of the trial leaves a void in my life, a strange sense of accomplishment tinged with lingering bitterness. As the weeks turn into months, I try to embrace the normalcy, but the shadows of betrayal still hover, refusing to let me go. One evening, as I sit at my desk in the office, a knock on the door startles me. It's Carl, looking unusually serious. "Mark, you got a minute?" "Sure," I say, gesturing for him to sit. "What's up?" He closes the door behind him and takes a seat, leaning forward. "I've been doing some digging. There's something you need to know." I frown, the unease creeping back. "What is it?" Carl hands me a file. Jake wasn't working alone. There's another player in this game. Someone with a lot of power and influence. My pulse quickens as I flip through the documents. Names, dates, transactions, all pointing to someone high up in the city's political landscape. Who is this? His name is Robert Marshall, Carl says grimly. A city councilman. He's been using Jake's agency to launder money and silence his enemies. The revelation is staggering. I had thought the nightmare was over, but it seems we've only scratched the surface. Why are you telling me this? Because I trust you, Mark. And I think we need to stop him. For good. I lean back, absorbing the gravity of the situation. How do we do that? Carl's eyes narrow. We need more evidence. Something that ties him directly to the crimes. And we'll need help. The next few days are a blur of planning and preparation. We enlist the help of Sarah, an investigative journalist with a reputation for uncovering corruption. Her tenacity and resourcefulness make her a valuable ally. We meet at a dimly lit bar, the perfect setting for our clandestine discussions. Sarah listens intently as Carl and I lay out the situation. "This is huge," she says, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "If we can bring Marshall down, it'll be a major victory for justice." "But it's risky," Carl warns. "He has connections everywhere. We need to be careful." Sarah nods. "Agreed. But I'm in. Let's do this." Our first step is to gather more evidence. Carl hacks into Marshall's financial records, uncovering a series of suspicious transactions. Meanwhile, Sarah digs into his political dealings, finding links to numerous shady activities. One night, Carl calls me. "We've got a lead. Marshall's meeting with someone tonight. A known criminal associate. We need to be there." We arrive at an upscale restaurant, blending in with the evening crowd. Sarah, equipped with a hidden camera, takes a seat at the bar, her eyes on the private dining area where Marshall is expected. Carl and I find a table with a clear view of the entrance. As we wait, tension coils tightly within me. Finally, Marshall arrives, his confident demeanor unmistakable. He's joined by a man I recognize from the files, Tony Rizzo, a notorious figure in the city's underworld. Sarah discreetly records their conversation, her hand steady despite the risk. We watch as the two men exchange envelopes, their expressions serious. It's clear this is more than just a casual meeting. After they leave, we regroup outside. "We need to get that footage to the authorities," Sarah says, her voice urgent. "This is the smoking gun we've been looking for." We drive to the FBI office, the weight of our mission pressing down on us. Agent Collins meets us, his expression shifting from surprise to determination as we explain the situation. "This is explosive," he says, reviewing the footage. "We'll need to move fast. Marshall's influence runs deep." The next few days are a whirlwind of activity. The FBI launches an investigation, and the media catches wind of the scandal. Marshall's name is splashed across headlines, his reputation crumbling under the weight of the accusations. But the fight isn't over. As the investigation deepens, we realize just how far Marshall's reach extends. Threats begin to surface, subtle warnings meant to deter us. One evening, I find a note slipped under my door, "Back off, or else." I show the note to Carl and Sarah. "He's getting desperate," Carl says. "We need to stay vigilant." The tension reaches a boiling point when Sarah's apartment is broken into. Fortunately, she's not home at the time, but the message is clear. "We're getting too close," she says, her voice trembling with anger. "But we can't stop now." Determined to see this through, we double down on our efforts. Carl uncovers more damning evidence, while Sarah's articles continue to expose Marshall's corruption. The public outcry grows louder, and the pressure mounts. Finally, the day of reckoning arrives. Marshall is arrested, his connections severed, his empire crumbling. The trial is a spectacle, the courtroom packed with reporters and spectators. Sarah, Carl, and I testify, our words painting a vivid picture of Marshall's crimes. As the verdict is read, guilty on all counts, a sense of justice fills the room. The battle is won, but the scars remain. We've exposed a powerful criminal, but the cost has been high. In the aftermath, life slowly returns to a semblance of normalcy. Carl, Sarah, and I remain close, our bond forged in the fires of our shared ordeal. We've brought down a corrupt politician, but more importantly, we've found strength in each other. One evening, as we gather for a quiet celebration, Carl raises his glass. "To justice, and to new beginnings." We clink our glasses, the weight of the past lifting slightly. The journey has been long and arduous, but we've emerged stronger, ready to face whatever the future holds. As I look around at my friends, I realize that the shadows of the past no longer hold sway over me. We've faced the darkness and come out the other side, and now, the future feels brighter than ever. Life begins to settle into a fragile sense of normalcy after Robert Marshall's conviction. The city breathes a collective sigh of relief, and our efforts are lauded by those who champion justice and integrity. However, beneath the surface, an unease lingers, a sense that the story isn't quite over. One evening, as I sit at my desk, a knock at the door startles me. It's Laura, her face etched with concern. "Mark, we need to talk," she says, her voice trembling slightly. I motion for her to sit. "What's going on?" She hands me a manila envelope, her eyes not meeting mine. "This arrived at my office today. You need to see it." Inside the envelope, I find photographs, documents, and a flash drive. My heart pounds as I scan through them, recognizing faces and names. It's evidence of another scheme, one that ties back to our own investigation. Among the documents is a letter, its contents chilling me to the core. "To whom it may concern. You think you've won, but the game is far from over. The truth is deeper than you know. Remember, trust no one. A friend, ***. What is this?" I ask, my voice hoarse. Laura's eyes finally meet mine, filled with a mix of fear and determination. "I think there's another layer to this. Someone else was pulling the strings, and they're still out there." Determined to uncover the truth, we call Carl and Sarah, arranging to meet at my place. As we gather around my dining table, the atmosphere is tense, the weight of the new revelations pressing down on us. "We need to go through this step by step," Sarah says, her journalistic instincts kicking in. "Let's start with the flash drive." Carl plugs it into his laptop, and we gather around, watching as files and videos load. The first video shows Jake meeting with someone we don't recognize, discussing plans that implicate not just Marshall but a broader network of corruption. "Who is that?" Laura asks, squinting at the screen. "I don't know," Carl mutters, "but he's clearly important." As we delve deeper into the files, a pattern emerges. It becomes evident that Marshall was just a pawn, a figurehead to distract from the real mastermind. The documents reveal coded messages and financial transactions pointing to someone even higher up the political food chain. "Wait," Sarah says, pointing to a particular transaction. "This money trail, it leads back to someone in the governor's office." The realization hits us like a tidal wave. We've been playing a small part in a much larger game. The corruption runs deeper than we imagined, and we've only scratched the surface. "We need to take this to the authorities," Carl says, his voice urgent. "But we have to be careful. If this person knows we're onto them." A sudden knock at the door interrupts him. We all freeze, exchanging wary glances. "Who could that be?" Laura whispers. I move cautiously to the door and open it, revealing a man in a suit, his expression stern. "Mr. Thompson. I'm Agent Parker with the FBI. May I come in?" Suspicion coils in my gut, but I step aside to let him in. "What's this about, Agent Parker?" He surveys the room, his eyes lingering on the evidence spread out on the table. "We've been monitoring your investigation. You've uncovered something significant, but I'm afraid it's put you all in danger." Laura steps forward, her eyes flashing with determination. "We're not backing down. We need to see this through." Parker nods. "I understand, but you need to know who you're dealing with. The person behind this has connections at the highest levels. Your targets now." The weight of his words sinks in, and for a moment, the room is silent. "Then what do we do?" I ask. Parker takes a deep breath. "You cooperate with us. We'll protect you and use your evidence to build a case." But you'll need to go into hiding for a while. The idea of hiding doesn't sit well with any of us, but the reality of the threat leaves us no choice. We agree to work with Parker, providing him with all the evidence we've gathered. The next few days are a whirlwind as we prepare to disappear, leaving behind our lives, our jobs, and the city we fought to protect. The FBI arranges safe houses for each of us, promising to keep us informed as the investigation progresses. On the night before we part ways, we gather one last time at a secluded cabin arranged by Parker. The mood is somber, the weight of our decision heavy in the air. "We've done the right thing," Laura says, her voice steady but tinged with sadness. "But it's hard to walk away." Carl nods, his usual humor absent. "We'll come back stronger. And when we do, we'll finish this." As we share a final toast, I feel a sense of closure beginning to form. We've come a long way from the initial betrayal, our journey marked by pain and resilience. But as much as we've accomplished, the road ahead is still uncertain. The next morning, we part ways, each of us heading to a different safe house. As I drive away, the reality of our separation hits me. The bond we forged in the fires of betrayal is strong, but the path forward is now one we must walk alone. Weeks turn into months, and life in hiding becomes a new kind of normal. I keep in touch with Parker, receiving updates on the investigation. The wheels of justice turn slowly, but progress is made. Eventually, the mastermind behind the corruption is exposed and brought to trial, his network dismantled piece by piece. One day, as I sit in my safe house, a letter arrives. It's from Laura. Her words are bittersweet, filled with a mix of gratitude and finality. "Mark. We did it. We brought them down. But this journey has taken its toll on all of us. I need to move on, to find peace away from the shadows of the past. Thank you for everything. Maybe one day, our paths will cross again. Laura ****. As I read her letter, a sense of closure washes over me. The journey has been long and painful, but we've emerged stronger, ready to face the future. With a deep breath, I step outside, feeling the sun on my face. The road ahead is uncertain, but it's mine to walk. And as I take the first step, I know that the past no longer holds me captive. The future is mine to shape, one step at a time.